Okay, we are live again, I think. Let's see here what I can find out. I am just clicking around here for a minute to try and let people know that we're back to being live, which is um, hold on. Here we go. Okay, we are back to being live. I don't know. All right, do we have anybody else here again? um, something to the original live broadcast on the Facebook side and the video. Okay, let's see some of the other questions on okay, Tracy, hi, welcome. Yeah, part one is posted in the group. That was kind of an interesting experience. So do you have questions since you're here? I don't know if anybody else is gonna join in. We had several on the other call and they were asking questions and then Facebook just kind of dropped us. I don't know what happened. So we will see. Um, we were talking, I think, about middle schoolers, and then we were talking about keeping your student on track with public school. Ryan had asked that question. Um, okay, you could go back and look at the other one, Tracy. But do you have questions that I can answer? Because that's what I'm here to do, is to help people who have questions. I thought maybe we'd go about 25 more minutes if Facebook allows it. Let's see. I think part of what I'll talk about is how to find community. Because if you're homeschooling, and I'll just talk on this little topic until others join in, or Tracy, if you have questions that you want to ask specifically, um, maybe tell me the ages of your kids and where you are in the process. That would be a great place to start. But in the meantime, finding community when you're a homeschooler, that is really important. It's going to be important for you as a parent. It's also going to be important for your kids. Um, oh, you're panicking about everything, Tracy. Okay, yeah, okay, about everything. So you're panicking about where's a good place to start? Do you want to talk about the finding community? How do you find things for your student to do? How do you know if they're learning? How do you are you working as well? You're trying to manage that. Um, Go ahead and tell me whatever what's number one on your mind. What's keeping you up at night? If you had a magic wand and you could wave it, what would that fix for you? If you could do these things one at a time, that might be a good question. So anyway, finding community. We all need to find community, and why? Because there are going to be days of questions. There are going to be days of self-doubt. There are going to be days of frustration, and there are going to be days of wins. There's going to be lots of days of wins, and one of the ways that we keep moving along this path is to share those things with other people, with other parents. So what we found was it could be sometimes hard to connect with community, and in the COVID situation, um, that may be a little bit more challenging, because now you not only have the interests of your student that you probably connect others with, but you also will now be maybe considering where you are in the continuum of COVID precautions, and how comfortable you feel um, organizing activities or being out. But it is going to be important that you connect. And right now, it seems to be that a lot of the connection is happening through Facebook groups. And people are, the smaller groups, the better, because you are more likely to connect with each other. When you have, 10,000 people in a Facebook group, that makes it kind of hard. So if you can find a smaller group within your area, a small group of people, and if you have to start a small Facebook group, that's okay too. But try to reach out, because the more we reach out, the more we're likely to connect. And the more often we reach out, the more likely we're to find connections that work for us and that we can maintain. So Tracy made the decision to stay home. Let's scroll on down here, see what else. So probably where you're at, if you have a ninth grader, this is where it's going to become important for you to start keeping records for graduation, right? Because you are going to want to turn whatever you do into a transcript. And wherever your student is right now, I think I addressed this a little bit on the first video, wherever your student is right now is okay. That's a good place for your student to be. And so you're just going to start there. With a ninth grader, I would want to know, what do I think my kid is going to want to do after high school graduation? And that doesn't have to be set in stone. So you may have a slate of possibilities. Maybe my child will look at going to college, going into a trade, and maybe just not even going to school at all. Maybe they will just get out there in the real work world. And one of the things I used to tell my kids was that I wanted to keep the doors open and available for them. And when they got to be in college, they said, if we hear that just one more time, Mom. But it's true. I want them to have all of the opportunities that I can make available to them, because I just think that's what they should have. So depending on what your ninth grader is going to possibly want to do. If you have a student that you think is potentially going to go to college, whether they choose that or not, then you are going to want to start looking around to what some college admission criteria are, freshman admission criteria. You are going to want to see what kind of courses they want, what kind of transcript credits they're looking for, and you're going to want to work backwards from that. There is a great Facebook group out there that provides wonderful information for kids and for parents of high schoolers in North Carolina. It's called Homeschooling for College Credit, North Carolina, I believe. I can stick the link to that. I think that I've shared that link in our group before, but it is wonderful. Karen Dutton, you've probably seen some of her posts or replies about college. She is one of the moderators on that group. They do an absolutely fantastic job with helping guide parents through the transcript kind of thing, choosing whether AP classes will work better for your student, whether you might want CLEP, whether you want to do Career and College Promise Program. The other thing that you could consider with your ninth grader is that public high schools in some districts in North Carolina will allow your student to take online courses for free through the high school. And that may be a way that you can, if they're into online learning, that may be a way that you can go ahead and have them take some of those classes. And why do I recommend that? Well, there may be classes that it's hard to find a good class or a class that meets your student needs. For example, in my case, if that had been available when my kids were homeschooling, it wasn't in our county. So my youngest is now working on a master's degree in cybersecurity. He would have loved to have taken a public school computer science or programming course, because that would have been structured. He's very structured, and it would have met his after high school interests. So I would have done that for him. Foreign language might be good. Some other courses the student might be interested in. So keep that in mind, that you could also do that for your ninth grader. But I would highly recommend that Homeschooling for College Credit Facebook group as a place that you can go to ask specific questions and really get some answers. Let's see. Okay, dual enrollment for English, history, and maybe math, you said. Okay, so dual enrollment for, you're talking about high school dual enrollment, because we're using that term kind of interchangeably sometimes. We're talking about dual enrollment with Career and College Promise, which you can do as a rising junior and then also as a senior. And that's fantastic because you can double count that, if you will, for high school credits and for on your college, it'll go on your college transcript. So yes, the dual enrollment for if high school, yes, English, history, and math would also work. So talk to your, oh, for college. Okay, so for college. So you're talking about Career and College Promise. So yes, I would really look into that. And again, that's for a rising junior. So look at then, if that's your goal, look at admission criteria for that program, and then also look at maybe information about their associate's degrees and what you're looking for there. Now, North Carolina has this wonderful thing called the Comprehensive Articulation Agreement for community college and North Carolina public colleges. And they will say that English, for example, when my students were doing it, English 111 will transfer to this university as this credit. So, for example, English 111 transferred to UNC Charlotte as their freshman first English course. It fulfilled that criteria. English 112 similarly transferred to UNC Charlotte to fulfill the second freshman level English requirements. So their basic English requirements were fulfilled by that. One of my students applied to NC State as well, and they needed they needed English 111, 112, and then one other one to satisfy that requirement for NC State. But that is all spelled out really well for you. So I don't know, is there any other questions, or is anybody else here to chat with us? I can't see the number of people, Tracy. Maybe you can see it. Do we have any other people? Is it just us? That's fine. It's just us. So as long as you're okay, you're ninth grade. The other thing you can think about doing, and schools are not really necessarily doing SATs and ACTs again, but if you want, if your target school may be doing an SAT or ACT, you can actually get your student to take those exams while they're in high school. And I did that for my kids. If it has a writing component, like an essay component, then it will satisfy the requirement for your homeschool annual testing. But the reason that I did that for my kids when they were in high school was so that they could get some practice with test taking. Because we know that the more practice you have with actually taking a test, the better you are at taking a test, because it's some of it's about the mechanics. So that's what I did with my kids, was I had them do that, and I had them do both the ACT and the SAT. So you might want to consider that as part of your plan for homeschooling high school. So I don't know, what else have we got here? Is there anything else? I don't see any other questions here. So, okay. Well, I've got about, I booked out about an hour for this video. So let's see, what else? How to choose curriculum. Let's just touch on that for just a minute. When I chose curriculum for my students, I always looked at where they are and what their interests were. And I tried to choose curriculum based on that, as for where they'd start and something that would advance them. I was concerned more about the end goal, which for them was to be able to apply to colleges. So I was concerned about the end goal, and I kept that in mind as I chose curriculum. One of the things that I purchased curriculum for was math. because I felt like that was more structured and they could learn better from that. One of my students, it turned out, would have done much better in an in-person math course. Once we got to the rising junior grade level and he enrolled in the community college, he just really soared with mathematics. So he ended up having a minor in math for his bachelor's degree. So we always chose our curriculum with the students' level and the students' interest in mind. And then we tried not to spend exorbitant amounts of money on it unless we knew that this was really going to be a fit for our student. The other thing that we chose was honors classes online and AP courses online. And you can find those. And what we decided to do was if the student did well in an AP course but chose not to take the AP exam, then we counted it as an honors course instead of an AP course. So, recommended site for using transcripts. I created my own. I made a Word document and just filled it out as we went. And I can probably put that up as a template in the group. It's not hard to do. It's just a simple document, and I'll put that up and share that. Because it had places for not only the grade, but the calculation of the year GPA, the cumulative GPA. And then when we had community college courses for how I used those on the transcript as well. So I can certainly put that up. But yeah, I didn't use a site for creating transcripts. Lee Binns is someone who has been in the homeschooling community for a very long time. And I think her website is the Home Scholar, but Lee, Leebinz. She is kind of like the guru of transcripts out there if you want to make a transcript. And I'm not sure if you're more of an eclectic or unschooling kind of person, how she does with that, because again, I made my own. And as we did the student-led kind of study, my oldest student, for example, did 2 semesters in high school of what I ended up calling a seminar on World War II. And this was very much self-directed. He covered not only, the battle things that you might think would be covered in World War II, but he covered the socioeconomics, he covered the cultures of the people involved. He could certainly tell you about all the different battles, but the leadership, he examined leadership capabilities and strategies for leadership and why things changed and how that was done. And I found it, you're like, well, how do you evaluate that for a transcript? Well, one of the ways I evaluated it was just by listening to him talk about all these things. And I would ask a question and he had the answer and I could verify the answer. So I don't know how Lee does with those kinds of things, but the way I did that when I created a transcript for a course that was made up, if you will, that we created for high school, is I made a list of the knowledge that the student used in kind of an outcomes criteria. Student will describe or is able to describe this. Student is able to discuss. Student demonstrates integration of. And so I did that and I listed all the resources and I kept documents, digital Word documents, if you will, of the details of all of those courses. So if a college came back to me and said, what do you mean seminar on World War II? I had the supporting documents that I could show them, but this is what I meant. So that's another thing that you might want to do for transcripts. If you keep some supporting documentation. For the math courses that we did online, or it was actually, we purchased the online package. I went through and made a photocopy of all of the chapters and the sub-chapters. And then as the student took a test, I made a copy of the grade that the student received, or the score, if you will, that the student received. And I took that all together and then I created a grade for that course, but I kept that as supporting documentation because my concern was, I don't know what college you might go to. I just want to be able to support your home learning, your home education with evidence from what courses you took, and then back it up with the standardized testing, which for me ended up being SAT and ACT scores. So I hope that helps. I don't know. Do you have any other questions? Let's see. Oh, you have a couple of lead books. Oh, your son is a lover of history. Oh my gosh, yes. Have fun with that. Yeah, we like all the history museums and all of that. So yeah, if you, depending on how you want to homeschool, right? So it's got to work for you. It's got to work for your student. But if you can do a study of history that integrates absolutely everything, from space exploration and science to mathematics of that, and uh, social studies, history, English, presentations. Don't, as we homeschool, we kind of start to expand, what our understanding of learning is. Oh, hey, look, they did that. My son did a presentation for, it was like a persuasive argument is what it was. A persuasive argument for why we should fund him building his own computer, right? And I'm like, okay, tell me why. He did a PowerPoint presentation. And I'm like, well, wow, that's pretty cool. So that was another way to present an argument. It wasn't in standard form. And these days, things are all digital and video and online. So keep that in mind as your student is doing some of that. So ancient history. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, you can do a lot with that too. I think my youngest son was talking about the origins of number theory, and I'm like, what is that? Where did you come from? I don't understand, but he can talk all about it. He said it was fascinating, the history of numbers. I'm like, wow, that could be cool. So along with the cultural, you could talk about all of the things going on in their society. So you could I'm a real fan of integrated learning, project-based learning. Yeah, what did these people do? What were their customs like? Why did they do that? What was their understanding of the world, of the people around them? So there's a lot that you can do with ancient history. There is a professor at UNC Charlotte, and I can't remember his name, but one of my sons took his history course. Loved the guy, and he currently does archaeological digs, I think, in Israel. He also does something in the Soviet Union, so we're a little bit, we don't know what's going on there, but he also does, ancient history like that too, and it's really fascinating. Really fascinating. So, so you could really do a great integrated curriculum about that. He could develop his expertise on a subject matter as a high school student, for goodness sakes. So, okay. We got about 4 minutes to the hour. Any other pressing questions? Anybody? Anything? I'm just scrolling through the comments over here. Oh, let's see. I can't believe something just popped up on my screen there. Wow. Okay. All right. So Tracy, and anybody else that happens to be listening in, I think I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye. And I think I'll try and do this maybe once a week. Maybe we'll do short subject matter focuses. I think that might be better because I'm just a little bit concerned that people would have to listen to an hour of video to see if they can find something that's useful for them. Yeah, I know. I think, Tracy, that next time I'm going to try the Zoom platform. I think probably it won't cut out on me, for one. And then people can unmute their mics and we can actually have a conversation. I think I like that better than just talking to you're there, I know you're there, but talking to a computer screen is kind of weird. So, okay, thank you for being here, and I hope that you're welcome. Oh, hey, Tanya, you're here too. You were quiet in the background. So, thank you for being here, guys, taking your time. I know it is really valuable. I know you're overwhelmed with all these choices, and hopefully I can get a better sense of how I can better help you, because that's really what I want to do. So I will Talk to you later then. Thanks. Bye.